What we're going to talk about today, and I'm going to go a little slow and wait for some people to tune in, but we're going to launch a new series called the Falsehoods of Fitness. So this new series is going to encompass all the comments that I see about my research or just generally in the company with X3, and we get some crazy comments like, what about muscle confusion or something like that, or the workout's the same all the time, don't you want to mix it up? There's a lot of really unfortunately false things that are principles of fitness seemingly that just won't go away. And so we're going to go subject by subject in no particular order, and we're going to determine, I'm going to review what's been seen in the academic research as far as some of these principles, and I've touched on some of them so many times it'd be better to just have a video to refer to where I'm quoting the actual clinical data. Like for example, there's 40 years of research showing that cardio will help you protect your body fat, as in keep as much as possible. So, not really the way to go. Being lean is what you want to do. If you want to be a great runner, different story. So we'll take like two questions while we let some people tune in. Mandy, is there any questions anybody's asked so far? Okay. So and just go ahead and type any question while we're live. And of course, like after we finish and I talk about some of the things that we're going to hit in the series, leave suggestions of, what about X? What about isolating a body part, isolating a piece of a muscle? That's another great one. So we can make sure, and I don't know if this series is going to go like 10 different videos, it might go 20, 30, 50, I don't know. There's a lot of goofy stuff out there that just keeps coming back. So why don't I go ahead?
Okay, we got a question.
Question, yeah.
How do you know when to move up in bands? Is there a certain number of reps you should try to hit?
Okay, question. How do you know when to move up in bands? Is there a certain number to hit? Yes. Now, because we're using variable resistance, this is an X3 specific question. I also want to note that this series is not just going to be about X3. It's going to be like Falsehoods of Fitness, as in applied to all types of fitness. So this will be shareable to anybody who cares about exercise. But this question is specifically for X3. When you move up in bands, you want to stay in the rep range of 15 to 40 repetitions. Now, some would say that seems high, except remember, in the stronger range of motion, when you're out here, when you're going to fatigue out here, and then you diminish your range of motion, and then you go to fatigue here, and then you go to fatigue here, it's a much more intense stimulus, and you're using more weight than you may have ever used, with more repetitions than you normally ever use. Once you get past like 40 repetitions, that's the time to move to the next band. So I hear some people go, well, I really need a band in between the two bands. I don't think you do. Because a lot of people who are following that particular direction are just making huge gains and then getting all the way through one band and then going to the next one. So, okay. I am going to continue.
We have another question.
Another question, yes.
For the advanced program, does it typically take around 20 minutes to do the workout?
So I'll repeat the question just so you guys can hear it. For the advanced programming, does it take 20 minutes to do the workout?
Yes.
No. It should still take around 10 minutes. Ultimately, you're doing around 4 sets per workout. Remember, just stick to the one. Some people really like doing 2 sets per workout, per exercise. I still do 1. I did experiment with 2 for a little bit, but I went back to 1. You just go to a deeper level of exhaustion. Also, when you've got to get the job done with 1 set, you're going to behave a little differently. You're going to go to absolute fatigue in all ranges of motion simultaneously, something you cannot do with a weight. Therefore, the depth of exhaustion, you're trying to show the central nervous system a deficit of tissue. Like, we don't have enough muscle here, we need more. So the more intense the stimulus in the shorter period of time, not the longer period, the shorter period of time, shows the central nervous system that clearly more power is needed here. And that is the clearer signal. So advanced programming involves some holds to really make sure you're going to fatigue at whatever peak you're at. So like in a bicep curl here, I'm holding, and then I can't hold there anymore, and then I have a shorter rep, and I'm holding there and do a few of those, and then the last rep is a very, very low range repetition in the weaker range of motion, and then going to fatigue there. So making sure you're really just asking yourself, am I really going to fatigue here? And those holds will tell you, yeah, you are. So very, very clear signals. So we'll save the rest of the questions that are piling up to the end, and I'm just going to go on like some of the subjects that we're going to talk about for the Falsehoods of Fitness series. So what we've seen, I'm just going to recap for the people who tuned in later. We're going over some of the things that we've seen in the questions where someone will look at variable resistance and what we're talking about, the principles that apply to X3, and say, well, what about progressive resistance? Like for example, that is a result, that is not a strategy. So we're going to look at things, I just have a brief list here of some of the questions that we get, which are just like, nobody should be asking these questions. If it fits your macros type nutrition. Portion control or caloric restriction, depending on if you read women's magazines or men's magazines. Women's magazines typically called portion control. Caloric restriction, if you read typically like a more athletic bodybuilding style magazine. Portions of your muscle. Can you train your upper pecs? Progressive resistance. That's a favorite of especially like CrossFit people. We have cardio. Is fasted cardio better than not fasted cardio? What do I want to do to lose the most amount of body fat? Direct work for abdominals. Dr. Jaquish, why don't you do any direct work for abdominals? So muscle confusion theory, another favorite that I get from seemingly some smart people, yet they ask that question. Bands, can bands make you big? I heard bands can't make you big. So those are just some of the examples of what we're going to go over, and I want these to be like short, maybe 5-minute videos where I'll go over like the best study in the category, because you don't want to hear me rattle on about 10 different studies. I'm just going to go over like the best study in each one of those areas and really nail like what it is that's key. What's the key takeaway to all of those things, and are they true or are they not true? And I can tell you, they're on the list of falsehoods, not true. So, and I will give you that research. So, welcome to the series. They're all going to go on YouTube in order, and they'll all be on the x3bar.com website, and they'll be very searchable, and so everybody can find those. And like I said, 5-10-minute videos on one subject, so easy to find. I think everybody will enjoy.